Are you excited to play Illari, but are having a hard time finding success with her kit and just can't get enough of those wins under your belt? Well, there's likely some good reasons why, and in this video, we're going to go over 3 reasons why you're losing with Illari, so let's get straight to it. All that being said, if you want to see more content like this on the channel, then be sure as always to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's get straight to the first point. This first point is likely the most obvious one, and that is you just don't have really good positioning. One of the best traits about Illari is that she does have really good options in terms of her movement, and so she's able to position herself in ways to make it hard for the enemy to pursue her. But of course, if you find yourself in losing situations most often, it's likely due to the fact that you're not positioning yourself well enough to evade enemy attacks. So how do you overcome this? Well, for one, it's important to understand the fundamentals of Overwatch, and it's that you need to be taking cover as much as you possibly can while in the process of doing damage, because Illari is a damage dealing hero. In spite of what other people like to say, in that she wants to be healing with her pylon, which of course is part of her process, part of her kit, she wants to be utilizing her primary fire to get damage. So therefore she can be poking from mid-range and therefore helping her team to therefore get the victory. So if you happen to find yourself constantly losing your games, it's likely because you're not taking enough cover, you're not positioning yourself in scenarios to give you the advantage. That is, you have the position over the enemy to take advantage of their weaknesses as opposed to yours. And so this takes time, this takes some practice, and really just developing the fundamental understanding of what Overwatch 2 is all about. It is a team game, and so you do have to play with your team. You can't just go off on your own all the time, but really just learn where to place yourself on the map and understand and ask yourself, why am I here? When is the best time to attack? Where else can I go if I'm being pursued? And so on and so forth. And the more questions you ask yourself along the way, it'll be easier to find answers as you practice and find yourself in more opportunistic scenarios. So that being said, let's move on to the second point. But before that, a word from our partners. Are you an aspiring game designer looking to land a position in the industry, creating first-person shooters? Then look no further than Pixel Helmet, a website dedicated to teaching you, hands-on, how to utilize the latest software in the industry to help you achieve your goals. In the Unreal Engine 5 multiplayer first-person shooter course, you'll learn how to create an FPS from scratch, learn how to do character movement and animations, creating UI, sound effects, visual effects in multiplayer, and much more. The course comes jam-packed with 192 lessons to dive into and a devoted Discord community to provide constructive feedback. Sign up now by clicking the link in the pinned comments, along with using the code PIXEL25 at checkout to receive 25% off your purchase. So what are you waiting for? This is your opportunity to elevate your game to the next level by enrolling now. Pixel Helmet is the gateway to your dreams becoming a reality. Now, let's get back to the content. In the previous point, I mentioned damage and how it pertains to Illari's game. She is, at her core, a damage dealing hero, and her healing options are just supplementary. So you need to be focusing on your mechanics when it comes to Illari, because that's really where she shines the most. So the reason why you're losing with her is likely because you lack in this area. So what do I mean by that? Well, mechanically, Illari is a high skill cap character compared to her other counterparts. And so this requires you to put more time into ensuring your aim is more precise and consistent. Otherwise, you're actually doing less for your team in-game than you are with other characters, because you want to be producing damage. And if you aren't doing that in-game, then you're pretty much the weakest link. And you're going to be pursued more frequently because now the enemy team sees you as the weakest link, and therefore you're eliminated much more frequently. So the best way to overcome this is to go straight into aim trainers like the Baxter Workshop and just working on your precision, working on your mechanics, because this is where Illari will really transform your life. She'll be elevated to the next level, and the more critical shots you can hit, the more headshots you can hit, then you will likely see a huge rise, a huge shift in your gameplay. And when you pair that with good positioning and just knowing where to place your pylons, you will definitely see a huge shift in your gameplay, but also you'll see a huge growth and huge level up in your ranking. So that being said, let's move on to the last and final point. The last reason why you're losing with Illari comes down to your poor cooldown usage. And you need to be really focusing on when to use your cooldowns, because it's really your way of either pursuing the enemy or escaping the enemy. And I'm talking about your boosts. I'm talking about your pylon use. All these things have a cooldown, and if you're not careful, this can really determine whether you win a fight or you lose a fight. So for example, placing your pylon in a poor location and then having the enemy shoot it, now you're on a long cooldown where your healing options are now limited. You're only limited to your right click, which isn't necessarily your best option. It's really more of a supplement than anything. So losing your pylon because of your poor decision making will cost you and your team. And then of course you have your shift, which is your boost to get in or out of trouble, can also be a detriment if you're not careful. So if you're just mindlessly using your shift as a way to do flashy moves on the battlefield only to get yourself killed via headshot, you're just wasting, your time, but also your team's time. So you really need to be thinking fairly carefully and being extremely cognizant of when to use your cooldowns, and asking yourself once again, why am I using it here? Why am I using it now? When is the best time to optimize it? And just continue to ask yourself questions as you play, because you'll likely find the answers and solutions as you continue along the road. So all that being said, just remember to be very mindful of your cooldowns when you're using, again, your pylons and your shift. Be, of course, careful of your positioning and be mindful of how to maximize damage. So all that being said, I hope this video has given you some insight on how to maximize profits with Illari, and I hope to see you on the rankings down the road. New Warriors, as always, thank you for watching. Stay strong and keep fighting. Peace.